Hey everyone, Erin here. It's been a while since I posted. On February 4th. My dad had a seizure event or stroke. He had woken up to go to the bathroom around 6:30, and a sitter was with him in the room because he has advanced Alzheimer's disease, and she noticed the symptoms as he walked back from the bathroom. He was in the hospital for a week after that, and he is now in rehab at a nursing home, about 45 minutes away from where I live, maybe about 40 minutes away from where my mom lives. And our lives really changed last month. We've been settling into our new normal. My dad was released from the hospital about 3 weeks ago, and he has been receiving some physical therapy to try to get him back on his feet. He was able to walk and do some, little things around the house, like getting food out of the fridge and stuff like that, before the seizure event. So where things stand today, he is currently wheelchair bound. He is not getting up to walk. In physical therapy, sometimes they can get him standing for short periods of time, but he is really not progressing very much in physical therapy. And part of that is perhaps because he has been medicated a lot more than he used to be. He has periods of agitation where he is either trying to get out of the wheelchair or trying to get out of the bed. And he's received doses of Lorazepam, which sends him into a really sleepy stupor the next day. And the nurses have described it as sort of giving him a hangover. So on days that he's had Lorazepam during the night, he is really on cloud nine or like out 1,000 the next day and really, really spaced out, non-communicative, looking around the room with bewilderment or just sleeping. And so on those days, he can't really participate in physical therapy. And that has been a lot of days. We learned today two important updates: that number one, the nurse practitioner has removed Lorazepam from his list of meds. And number two, that he is getting his Foley catheter out today. So that's been the other part of it. We're happy that he's no longer going to be getting the Lorazepam because of the state that it leaves him in. He is taking other medication to help with sleep and reduce agitation. He takes trazodone each night, and there's an allergy drug. I can't remember. It's hydro something, and that they've used off label to help with the agitation as well. And so hopefully that combination moving forward helps keep him comfortable without being off his noodle on drugs. The Foley catheter is another really exciting development for us. So essentially, my dad got a Foley catheter when he entered the hospital shortly after, and they did attempt to take it out once in the hospital. He retained urine, but he was on all kinds of strong medications at that time, which can cause urine retention. So we don't really know if the urine retention was because he wasn't feeling that he needed to pee, not willing to go pee because he wasn't used to going in a diaper, or if it was caused by the medication. But they put the catheter back in, and he left the hospital on a catheter. He has advanced Alzheimer's, like I mentioned, and he tried to pull the catheter out one night, or I should say he did pull the catheter out one night, and that caused an injury. It caused a lot of bleeding, and he had to have the catheter reinstalled in order to heal from the damage caused by the self-removal. Enough time has passed now that they can do an experiment with removing it. And so what that's going to look like is that this afternoon they're going to remove it, and they're going to monitor him for urine retention. And if he does retain urine, they're going to use a straight catheter as they monitor how he'll do in the post-Foley world. This is really good for a couple of reasons. One, because the catheter can cause an increased risk of infection, and infections can be really hard on people in my dad's condition. And this is also good because the bag itself was an impediment to him moving around if he was to regain strength. Walking around while having a catheter would require bringing the catheter bag with you, and He's not in a condition where he could know to like move that to a walker or anything like that. So that would have been complicated. I am concerned that the absence of a catheter might result in him being unwilling to urinate in a diaper or urinal just because that's not what he's used to. So he might just not understand that that's how he's supposed to go or not feel comfortable doing so. And if that's the case, that could be a problem. I'm also concerned that without the catheter, he'll feel like he needs to pee and he'll try to get up and he'll end up hurting himself by falling. He really cannot stand up on his own unassisted without something to hold on to. So if he tries to do that, he's going to have problems. But also, he's in a tilt wheelchair that tilts back and it allows him to kind of lay back in the wheelchair during the day as he naps and snoozes or to sit upright in the wheelchair. The tilt has a foot to it that doesn't fold entirely out of the way. And it's almost always tilted out a little bit in order to keep him in the wheelchair. So I am worried that if he tries to get out of the tilt wheelchair while the feet part is out, it's going to be even more difficult to stand up because his feet, aren't on the ground. But he's not strong enough to sit in a non-tilt wheelchair right now. He slides down even in the tilt wheelchair. And because he's like 200 pounds and 6'2", it can take 2 to 3 people just to slide him upwards in the chair. He has a shoulder injury that he's been nursing for the past couple of weeks as well. And we don't know what happened. He has had some rough nights where he has rolled or climbed out of the bed. And there's been a lot of pulling him up in the chair, which I know they probably initially used his underarms to do that sort of pulling. So those may have been sources. He also has a former rotator cuff injury in one of his shoulders that might have been reactivated. And that might be what we're dealing with, is that it was never properly healed and it was reactivated by the pulling. We're not entirely sure. Anyway, that's a little bit about what's been going on with our family. It's been a busy month. My mom tries to visit at least 5 days out of the week. She's there often from about 8:40 till 1 or so. Feeds him his lunch and sometimes his breakfast. And I try to visit twice a week on the days that she's not there. We've got a sitter starting this week who's going to be in his room from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., although I'm not sure how long we're going to need that sort of support. Originally, we made the decision to go that route because he wanted to get out of the wheelchair. And we thought having somebody in the room who could help him stand up might help relieve some of that agitation. Typically, once he stands, he realizes that he doesn't have any place to go and he sits back down, but his sort of energy is relieved. With that said, he's calmed down a lot. He's settled in and he's lost strength since having been in the nursing home. And so this standing up might not be a concern anymore, and he might not need the afternoon support. We'll just have to play it by ear and see how things progress with him. We've had some fun days where, dad's acted silly and joked around. He really can't communicate very well, but he does repeat things sometimes, and he does speak in short phrases, although they can be really hard to understand. He does silly moves, and he's generally been in the sweetest of spirits, which was always his character. And I think that one thing that's been really lucky for us and for him is that his sweet character has remained intact up through the, progression of this awful condition. So that's what's been going on with my dad. Thank you for following along with our journey.